So Sakamoto always ends up killing this guy within his mind. He's just right there, like within the second, like you just see, bah, ting, and he's just like, you have to stop killing people in my mind, because this guy, if you remember from the last episode, he is psychic, so he can see certain things, but it's like maybe what he actually needs to do is stop going into Sakamoto's mind and seeing what he's doing to him. Because at the beginning of the episode, he ends up like hyping him up about like what they ended up doing the last night and how like he ended up killing all these other people, and his wife ends up hearing it and it's like, killed? She's like, hold on, what, honey? You aren't going back to being a hitman, are you? And he's like, nope, not even close to doing that. And she's like, but you just killed all those guys just the other day. And he's like, made sure it wasn't fatal is what he ends up saying. And it's just like, honey, do I need to remind you that I'll file for a divorce if you break the family rule and divorce? And he's like, oh, I don't want to have that happen. So good luck, just wanting to check. And her demeanor instantly changes within that said second. So basically what this anime is about is it's about a hitman that ends up not becoming a hitman because he found the love of his life and had a kid and wants to be able to stay married and have a different relationship that he ends up wanting. So him and his little colleague friend, they end up going downtown to grab pork buns so that they can share it with his family. And then they end up running into this other girl. His pork buns get squished, and they end up having to go on this little adventure, this journey throughout this whole city to be able to protect the girl, even though like Sakimoto, as you can see, is like all sad about his pork buns because that's the thing that truly mattered to him within that said moment. She knows Tai Chi. She's beating up all these other dudes. As soon as she's about to get stabbed is when Sakimoto ends up coming in, because he's like, nope, there's no killing, because what you'll find out later is what the family rule is. His little sidekick comes in to be one of the other bad guys. She ends up doing the thing, realizes that the pork buns are all squished. They end up running. The guy comes in telling him like, you're an idiot. This is just crazy what ended up happening here, when it's just like, enough, get out of my sight. He ends up telling him get out of his sight. As soon as he does that, it's just like send them in, and as soon as he sends them in, the dude's head gets chopped off. And it's just like, wow, that's something that I was not really expecting. It's a little bit more dark and a little psychotic, but these two like are also just very dark and psychotic. So it's just like, what do you want? They're running all over the buildings, coming over, bouncing, yada yada yada. They're having a conversation about how like gets involved, like he basically asked her if she knows how to bake like black bean buns and things like that. So it's like, do we have a deal? So it's like, pork buns, I mean, but do you know how to make pork buns once we get you back alive? She's like, yep, of course. Guy ends up coming in, getting Sakamoto right in the face. And maybe him being fat is the best thing that could have happened to him, because he's able to absorb the punches a bit more. You wouldn't think that he was able to get like surprised, but he was. Come to find out that these two guys are basically hired mercenaries that never fail their targets at all beforehand. He ends up trying to fight against them, but it doesn't really go all that well. Sakamoto ends up coming in as soon as one of the guys tries to come in and take out the girl, which is messed up. So he ends up like moving very fast, slices his sword, and then Sakamoto's like, nope, bam, ends up smacking the dude right in the head, breaks through the floor of the ceiling. The dude's like, well, son of a bitch, who are you? And he's just like, red beans would be nice too. He's not even caring about the fight at all. And one of the dudes is like, quite a punch, and don't be bleak, the roof must have just been rotting. They end up having this whole conversation about they're trying to get like the key from her, because like they want to know, like get her family heirlooms, shut up, yada yada. They toss her back because she like gets all riled up by her emotions because of what she's saying. So she's like obsessing over some object over their own was terrible taste of time. Basically, they're just getting under her skin about what her parents said. Your parents said something like that before I diced them up, and that's just where she's saying that she'd guard the key with her life, and she ends up trying to rush in, and that's where the other little psychic, don't be dumb, you can't let them get under your skin. Maybe this is something that you've had in your life too, like whenever people get under your skin, ask yourself this said question, and this is initially related to the review, but it's just some small little snippet that I want to toss in there for you. Whenever somebody's getting under your skin, try to figure out why, because if you're able to be strong and determined and resilient and know who you are, then nobody can ever get under your skin unless you let them. And even if they do, you don't have to let them. You don't have to let them take over that control or give them that control, because there's just no need. So that vault contains all my ancestors' wishes and hopes for the generation, and they end up killing them. He ends up like grabbing the sword as soon as he tries to throw it at her, and she's like, oh, that's not good. Like catches that little bit of blood, trying to figure out like why he's risking his life to save her. This is when the psychic gets to finally see like what the family rule is. They go through this whole like little experience of like working hard. She doesn't want to have a present that's full of blood money. She ends up jumping off. He's like, nope, I can't do this. I also don't know how they ended up surviving this whole thing, other than they're just like being animated like logic basically, which is kind of my thought. But she's like, that drop was a lot longer than I thought. Thank goodness this is fresh snow. And it's just like, see, you would miss me if I ended up dying. And that's the thing that changes everything, because this is when he finally sees like that feeling that made you want to save me is shared with every person out there. Everyone is loved by someone. Even if you don't necessarily know who you're loved by or who's loving you, like it's best to treat everybody in the way that you want to be treated. It's the golden rule. So it's just like, that's our rule. You won't kill anyone anymore. And to make up for all the people that you've killed from here on out, spend your life saving people instead. And then that's where he gets all sad and emotional, because he gets to see like the final rule. No rule, got it. No kill rule, got it, Shen. Yes, that's why he finally changes, because he gets to see why. Because his wife is just very special, like very, very special. Like this is the type of woman that I myself would love to have as well too. That's just like, you know what, I want to protect you. I want us to protect one another. I love how he also like covers her head within this said scene when they end up falling, to make sure that she's okay. He was going to risk his life for her, as much as like he didn't want to lose her, even though like he was killing all these other people. And that's why he's kind of like a little drawn back, like, what do you mean? Like, I just wanted to, like, this is how I get paid. Like, I have to get paid by killing people. And she's like, no, you don't have to. You can get paid by doing things a little bit different. So they end up going through this whole battle. He ends up using swords. He ends up fighting as well too. They end up like kind of like doing things. He ends up using just like normal household items, no actual real weapons. And yet he's able to hold off like the swords and this other like weird weapon looking thing as well too. They end up going on the whole spiel of whatever they end up doing. He dodges this whole thing. He's like, nobody's ever seen this. Nobody's ever been able to dodge it. He ends up patching up his little neck. How did he dodge this? Nobody's capable of doing that. They end up doing the same thing of trying to do this other different wish. And he's like, nope, we're not doing that again. I don't want to have to dodge all your weapon things, so I'm just going to knock you out with this pot full of chili. He ends up doing that, smashing him over the head with another frying pan, which I found a frying pan today, you guys. Like, that's kind of cool. It's the exact one that I have in my kitchen right now. And somebody was tossing it out. I was like, I'm going to take this frying pan. So I ended up taking the frying pan. He ends up whipping him down on the ground, smashing him over with like the cool impact refrigerator smash. You get to see these things. They end up tying him up, asking where they're at, ends up going back, getting the guy some revenge that was trying to get in there. And it's funny how like as soon as like he's under threat, then he's like basically begging for his life. Yet before he was like, oh nope, I'm all strong, I'm all powerful. But this is the switch that a lot of villains end up making within their life, is whenever they don't win or the things that they were doing to others, and then it comes back and bites them in the butt. They're like, oh no, this wasn't the thing that I wanted, but this is the thing that's happening. It's a little messed up in my personal opinion. And then he ends up saying like, are you sure that this is enough? Maybe a couple extra blows. He ends up killing him again too. Stop killing me in your mind. And that's where I still come back and be like, stop going into his mind instead. That's what you really need to do. It's enough. You can't go around killing people every time they get upset, which is true. You have to choose to live a happy life. That's what Dad always said. So you just always want to live a happy life. You end up coming in, seeing that the treasure room is just more of like past family heirlooms of what other people found valuable. Some people found a bear valuable. Some found like this samurai thing valuable. Some found this bunny valuable. Some found gold valuable. Everybody has things in different ways of what is valuable. Like, let me know down in the comment section down below. Like, what is the thing that you value the most? Is it your time? Is it your family? Is it your friends? Like, what is the thing that you value more than anything else in the entire world? Like, what would you put in a secret vault if you had the opportunity to do that? Because like what her dad ends up doing is like putting like a drink in the vault that they can share when she ends up growing of age. They end up sharing it, having like the smashed pork buns, beet rice buns. I don't know. They'd still be good. Like, I like them. I enjoy them. And then the credits roll and you think that it's going to be the end, but it's not actually the end, because this is why you always need to check out like after the credits roll to see if anything is afterwards. They end up coming back. What do you believe made the giant hole in the building? They're having a good conversation. He has a headache and he's a little bit hungover from all the drinking that he ended up doing. I'm guessing maybe he was the only one that it did end up drinking, and these two didn't because they aren't hungover. She ends up getting an apron as well too. She's like, what are you doing here? I don't have a job. I'm going to make authentic pork buns here, but you've got all that treasure. And she's like, I'm not going to use my treasure. Why would I use my treasure? Simple-minded, and he just wants it to be quiet. By the way, I'm really moved by your story. You know why we stopped killing each other. So the memory of the book, and it's just like, and this is something that reminds me of like Fight Club. So it's just the family rule book is, yes, sir. Rule number 1, do not kill people, and I'll kill you if you do. And it's just like, that contradicts your own rule. And it's like, yep, sure does. But whatever you're going to do. And apparently he has a bounty of 1 billion yen on it, on the top of his head. I'm going to also do episode 3 as well too. It's not on Netflix right now, but it was on one of the streaming websites that I use to watch my anime. So I'm going to do that as well too. So we'll chat about that in the next one for episode 3. The rest of them are probably going to be a weekly episodes is kind of going to be my thought. And we'll kind of see what ends up happening from there. But if you're liking this new format or these new videos, like subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. And just remember that you can always change your life in a matter of an instant. You can always go back to work. Like I'm working on getting back into work and like doing those things. Unless you guys want to buy the merch down below, which that will help me not have to go back to work. But if not, like no worries. I just figured I'd toss that out there. I know I did the ask 2 days in a row. Some people might not like that, but I know sometimes maybe there'll be one person that watched this video and not the other one. So just want to let you know. But other than that, what are your thoughts? Like, you guys liking these animes? You not liking the animes? Just let me know down below. Love to have this be like a conversation between the two of us. With that being said, I'll chat with you in tomorrow's video. So thank you for watching.